All right, I'm hopping back on this morning, live on air now, because the great Steve McKenzie has just walked into the studio. And, man, it's like this is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about, that I love engaging with our local community to find out what the heck is going on. And, Steve, you and I were just chatting a little bit. And I was like, you know what? We're going live with the cameras here. You got some great news? Do you have good news for us?
Well, I think I do. I'm here to report out on the 143 Main Street initiative, which, if people have been following, understand it's the fundraising campaign for that BADC, Barry Area Development Corporation, has sponsored. And it's a fundraising campaign to be able to buy the old J.J. Newberry's building, the blighted building on Main Street, turn it over to the city and lay the groundwork for eventually developing that site and getting rid of that eyesore. So I've been on the podcast a couple of times in the past to report on progress, and I'm appreciative of that opportunity. But I'm delighted to be here today to report that we've reached our $800,000 goal.
Come on.
And actually, we slightly exceeded it. We have, as of Monday, we received $800,350 in donations and pledges.
How much?
$800,350. So we've met our goal. Now, if you've been following the campaign, you realize that's a reduced goal because the owner has reduced the price of the property twice since we started this campaign. It started out at $1 million for the property. They reduced it to $800,000, and here, probably I've lost track of time, 30, 45 days ago, reduced it to $775,000. The campaign goal is in excess of the sale price. If people recall, from the beginning, we said we need to raise more than the sale price to cover the cost of the campaign and also to underwrite some of the costs that would otherwise be incurred by the city if we just turn it over to them without some prior work. And
right.
that work now, the campaign costs have been, I think, relatively low. I think they're in about the $4,000 range out of $800,000. There's two initiatives we're undertaking right now. One is to prepare an updated, or new, actually, environmental site assessment. That's about $3,500. We're in the process, actually, of preparing a umbrella application for the state, which is an application to provide liability protection to the city for any environmental contamination that there may be on the site. And then...
Maybe or likely.
Well, there is,
yeah.
there is, but it's nowhere near the same situation as what was behind the old Aubuchons in
remember well.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank on the name, but and then the balance. We will donate to the city to cover at least 1 year's worth of property taxes that the city would otherwise lose out on, because once the property goes municipal, obviously it's not generating taxes. Mm-hmm. So we could help ease the transition by providing at least a year's worth of property taxes. We're excited. Now we're actually in the process of negotiating a purchase and sale agreement. The owner has had a draft we worked through with their attorney, the city attorney, city manager, BADC's attorney, and I have worked with the owner's attorney, reached agreement on a draft to put in front of the owners. The city council, in fact, has a copy of the draft, and the council has on the agenda this evening the authorization, an action item to authorize the manager to sign the purchase and sale once it's finalized, and once he's satisfied it's the final document is acceptable to him, the city attorney, and of course, from our side, it needs to be acceptable to BADC and BADC's attorney. So, with hopefully by the end of the week, we would have an executed purchase and sale agreement, barring something coming out of the woodwork. Now, the path after that is
I was going to ask you, what's
we have
next?
120 days to get to closing. I'm expecting that we deliberately picked a conservatively long time frame, 120 days. Normally, it shouldn't take that long, but we have to complete this environmental site assessment, which could be 4 to 6 weeks. The BRELA application a week or two after that. I'm hopeful that we could actually schedule a closing within 75 days, which definitely would be before the end of the year, and then move forward. In fact, the city has the site on its radar screen in terms of applying for potential grant money, and to help move the project forward. In the short term, the goal is to get to the purchase and sale agreement executed and then get to closing and then have the transition to the city. And then after that, it's a matter of finding the resources to continue with the development of the site. And as I've said before, it's it's a city place project, all over again. It's the same development scenario. Buy the property, tear down the blighted buildings. There may be an interim time to level the lot, get it ready for a developer. There may be a small municipal park there for a year or two. Maybe not, depending on how fast the process gets to reaching a request for proposals.
You're going to be asked an awful lot here over you and BATC and everyone else in the city council. What's next? What's next? What's next? When?
Yeah,
when?
well, we've had that question since the day we announced the campaign.
Sure.
How come you don't have hard plans for what's going to go there?
Sure.
And
well, when's it going to be? When is the J.J. Newberry building going to be demolished? I think is the first $1 million question.
I can't answer that question, not because I'm being coy, but it's out of. Right. It's a process that no one individual controls, and quite honestly, it's just like any, frankly, development project or any of the number of projects the city's undertaken. Again, the City Place is an example. I mean, it was one step at a time. First thing is buy the property, then tear it down, then prepare the lot, then solicit developer proposals. One thing I can say is, and one thing we made it clear in our agreement with the city, is that the city will have sole control and authority over what goes there for a development. And it's not like BAD says. It's saying here's a property and here's what got to go there. We don't know what's got to go there. I had a thought. It's the city will have absolute control. Oh, I know. The thought I was going to say is I fully expect that the city will have public information meetings too to get public input about what the community thinks.
I was going to ask you that because what I've heard, and I know you have too, is hey, these funds were created organically, grassroots level, right here. We've paid the bill. We as city residents, we would like some input as to what's going to happen there.
Yeah, but just to be ticky-tacky technically correct, there's not one penny of public tax dollars that have gone into this fundraising campaign. Let me be very specific. City property tax dollars. The $400,000 contribution which the city gave to, or pledged the city gave to BADC, which is huge. I mean, that was the without that, the campaign never would have gotten launched. So it's a huge donation in ways other than just financial. But that money is actually, for all intents and purposes, grant money from the federal government. It's ARPA money. It's the American Rescue Plan dollars. So for all intents and purposes, they're grant dollars, the same way that there were grant dollars that were used to buy the old Whalens building and tear that down, the same way that grant dollars are being pursued right now for all of these CDBG dollars. So they're ultimately they're public taxes, but they're not local property taxes.
All right. If you're just joining us, if you're just tuning in, Steve Mackenzie with us with the breaking news and the exciting news that right here in the Granite City, we as a community have raised enough money to officially purchase the J.J. Newberry building.
Yep.
143.
We just need to reach agreement now with the owners, and I'm expecting that to happen. So, barring something coming out of the woodwork. And the interesting part is we've got donations as far away as Florida,
yeah,
Massachusetts.
This whole 143 Main Street initiative has been talk of the town, brother. I mean, you know that.
Well,
there's been a lot.
I may not see it as much as you do, but
I
hope so. And
I hear it all the time.
Quite honestly, quite honestly, that's what initiated this campaign in the beginning. And I've told this story before. But after the floods, I went to a number of the forums. One of the top three complaints, if not the top complaint that you heard at those forums, you hear on the street, is that that damned blighted building on Newberry's. What's anybody doing about it? Well, so about 18 months ago, I said, well, I'll give it a whirl. Pitched the idea to the executive committee and then the board of directors of BADC, and who all supported it unanimously right from the beginning. There was no hesitation, and then at this point, looking back, the rest is history.
Yeah.
Wow. It really is. We'll change the thermometer here in a couple of days, and and thank the citizens, the residents of Barre, and residents and businesses. We were. Not everybody was able to make a donation, and I understand that, but enough people were that we've been successful. Big
exhale here.
Pardon?
I said a big exhale for many of us.
Well, and I'll really exhale when we get to the closing. But
yes,
but this is a significant milestone. If we hadn't reached this, there would be no future.
Yeah.
So this is, I've always said one step at a time, and here we are at a critical juncture, and the path is set to go forward.
On behalf of everyone that's watching and listening to this, thank you for coming in here and saying, I got to get on a microphone and make sure that people know about this through the Aired Out podcast. That's great, man.
And the publicity from the podcast, from the Times Argus, has been very, very helpful. It helps get the word out.
Yeah.
And like a lot of things, people need to hear about it more than once before they begin to understand it, and so on. So the opportunities to come in and talk with you about it, talk to the public about it, have been very, very helpful, and I'm very appreciative.
Let's get you in here again soon.
Yeah. Okay. We'll as this moves along, I'll be happy to come back anytime.
Maybe you and I could have a little shot of whiskey here on the air at some point at the closing. Thank you, Steve.
Okay. All right. I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks very much.
Right,
and thanks to the Barre community. A really big thanks.